Hi guys. Captain Foley here. Welcome back to Trekyards.
Stuart, did you forget to put bedding in your accommodation while you're on your holiday break?
Yeah, well, the holiday was fine. I slept fine there, but when I got back to my ship, sleeping in these, mesh like hammocks, just the way your back bent, it's just not good for me.
And actually, now you go straight into the conversation, and Connor Cockins. Yeah, if they want to sleep on hard surfaces, surely a hammock is softer than hard surfaces.
Yeah, but the officers like the hard surfaces because they're Klingon warriors.
And stronger.
Who cares about the lower decks people? The lower decks people get the more comfortable hammocks. That being said, I'd probably rather sleep on something hard than a hammock too, just because it's better for your back.
Yeah, but they've got like big ass spines and 2 hearts and 3 rib cages and anyway.
Well, they got a hexagonal rib cage, yeah.
It's amazing. Anyway, so Klingon Bird of Prey, last episode.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're talking.
Go look at our exterior breakdown. Is the summary. But we got a lot of interior, and this wasn't so much a one-to-one recreation. They went over and above. They did full TNG Hero episode where we see many sets and we get a real sense of it. And it was they did a lot in a very short amount of time. Well, and obviously we're gonna have comparison shots here of what they did and didn't do. But what was your thoughts on the Bird of Prey interior?
Really impressed. Like you said, we saw some areas we hadn't seen before, and actually just the lower decks lead into it, of them sleeping in a corridor, somebody walking down the corridor with a towel on. So the same situation exactly that they're in the Cerritos. I thought was hilarious. They could have left it there, but no, they've went on to give us other rooms as well, including probably a captain's ready room, or at least his office or his quarters. I don't know what it is, but there's some really great stuff here. So I was really pleased to see more of the interior of Klingon Bird of Prey. They didn't have to do that.
No, and I think it's fine. The corridor, we've talked about that before. You're less inclined, but I think it's fine as a concept. Same, I suppose, the Klingon version of the ship. It is a bit confusing though, because if this is a Burrell variant, then 12 officers and men. Are we literally looking at the 12 officers and men on this single first frame? 8 lower decks and 4, 5 higher ups? I don't know. That was certainly not explained. Although potentially you could have the bridge crew officers and then the lower decks that run around the crew. That's certainly possible. We didn't get any clarification. It's certainly not a big ship, but I don't think that's necessarily the biggest part. But certainly a small... Well, but it's such a small ship, I guess. To give the officers some sense of luxury, Klingon luxury, you've got to give the lower-end people a corridor.
Burrell, I don't know. A dozen officers and men, not really sure. It could be one of the larger ships, one of the larger Bird of Preys. That's kind of the implication that I get, especially with the lower decks vibe. Not really many lower decks on a Bird of Prey. It's kind of all stretched out deck-wise.
But yeah, here's a collage of all 4 things. They don't really take any shortcuts. They go around. But we've got some, obviously, comparisons. First off, obviously, just the bunks and the... Very bright, very red, very... doesn't look very nice. Perfect. Good summary, And I really like the lower decks red uniform. It's obviously Klingon, but I like the hub guy's got gold.
I was going to say red's less likely to show blood, but then again, their blood's pink. So, but their enemy's blood is probably red. So,
but I really quite like the uniform variations, etc. But the next view is an interesting one. This is their mess hall. We did see a mess hall in DS9 when Jadzia was working on a Bird of Prey for a little while. That's the only time actually we saw one on TNG as well, a small one, but that's all smoky and they didn't put the same money into the set, so it's not as much of a set. Here we get a nice long shot. So this is the other Bird of Prey we always think of is the Rotaran for Martok, where there's also not that many people on. It's a very classic Bird of Prey. It may not be a Burrell, but certainly a smaller variant. You get to know the crew quite well, and here's a sort of direct comparison.
The interesting thing about direct comparisons with Bird of Prey is that the Klingon captains can customize their ships, and they do. So differences or variations is fine. I actually like the one in lower decks better here. I like the weapons on display. Barrels of blood wine just empty in the corner is fantastic. Is this the captain's table? Is this not the main mess hall of the ship? I don't know.
Well, if there's only going to be the ensigns and the main officers, then who's to say? Probably just eat at different times. the DS9 one, everyone's in chairs, not thinking much of it. I quite like the more Viking feel, having those big long wooden stalls gives that vibe, and the fact that the main Klingon, I mean, we assume it's not wood, it's metal, but he's although like when he's thrown, very apt. You don't see it in the episode, but it feels big and arrogant and very apt. That is definitely the captain's chair, and he is, here to kick ass. Subtle, but it adds a lot. I'm not sure what the blood wine. There looks to be the same trophies that Worf got for his fighting competition. Very similar. Don't know if that's trying to tell us anything, but although, what do you think of the Targ? Like third, we had a real Targ. We had a sort of miniature animated Targ. We had a CGI Targ, and I've got an actual animated Targ.
I loved it. I mean, that's funny because the last night after we watched the episode, Sully and I are like, we're going to make a little Targ costume for Precious. Some fake fun fur and some plastic little horns. I don't know. I thought it was interesting later when the Targ is like, I'm going to attack my master, because his master just ends up kicking him. And so does he mistreat the thing? Probably. He's a Klingon.
That was a bit of a quick reversal, that in particular, but it's okay. I like the. It's always good to include a Targ because they are just Klingon dogs. I mean, that is what they are. But I like with animated, it literally is just a dog cheetah body with a pig snout with a fur coat, and it's great. It's a well realized mishmash, which is obviously, speaking of the rooms. Yeah, these things don't need to be the same. And I was not equating them to say they have to be the same. This is just the only other example we have of. Because Birds of Prey, you should look different. They will look different. They've been around for hundreds of years, and 100 plus whatever years. They are going to look very different.
But speaking of rooms that should be similar, the next one definitely should be, because it's basically the structure of the ship, and one of the rooms that every ship would have. That's a transporter room. And I love that you got this comparison shot from Star Trek 6, because, wow. I mean, the transporter panel is a little bit smaller in the animated version, but other than that, it's pretty much bang on. It's also a straight set of paths instead of more curved. But again, this could be one of the smaller transporter rooms.
Well, that was a Katinga.
I was just going to say that, or because I was going to say because this is a bird of prey, it's the same but different. So I think that's great, actually.
And I it's like with the Enterprise E transporter room from Insurrection. This sort of shot comes and goes so quickly, I don't quite have a mental picture of how it looks. But I remember there was a shot of this, but they beam in and they instantly get carried away. And so I don't really have a mental image of what this looks like. But yeah, I mean, they found the still, they replicated it, spot on. Perfect. And this made me, just like the Klingon communicator in a previous episode, attention to detail. You don't need to have a transporter room, you don't need to have this moment. But it's like, yes, function, form, all of it together. Excellent. Good to see,
Yeah, no, it was fantastic to see that. I love that you got the comparison here. That is amazing. So, next up is the captain's ready room or office or quarters.
Which we did see Martok having in an episode, but it looked like a redress of the bridge, just like a corner of it, so I didn't feel the need to include it per se. It kind of stands on its own. Yeah.
But he was listening to Klingon opera, checking out the map of the area, and I don't know if it was necessarily Klingon opera. It sounded a little bit too normal opera. It wasn't angry enough, but who knows? There you go. The floating skull. I mean, it's clearly Klingon's skull, right? So it's not the skull of an enemy. Maybe it's the captain that he overthrew to get his captaincy, something like that. I could see that being a thing. And then the weapons on display is fantastic. And I don't think that's rust. I think that's blood, just from the splatter patterns and whatever.
Yeah, I like the weapons because, blood rusts metal. That's part of it's all one big thing at the end. He's testament to who this guy is, that he doesn't want to have clean, pristine items. They need to be as disgusting as possible. That's part of the charm, and it's a small element, but it does add. It's a very simple room, very Klingon. They've managed to create a colour pattern that works quite well. The skull reminds me of the Predator ship, where you had an alien skull. I was thinking, which alien race might this be? It's not... Obviously, I know the Discovery Klingons are long since gone now, but that could have been their chance to have that elongated... Because in theory, Discovery Klingons have skulls that are like twice the size of their heads, to the point where not even hair could cover them. It's literally impossible. And I was kind of wondering if there'd be that, or then it would just look like an alien skull because they have long heads too. So it's just a classic Klingon head. But yeah, not so fun. Not so fun.
But this was a great room to see. I really like this room. I think this was a fantastic, and the big display screen that he throws his blood wine on. But
also it's not huge because it's still based on sort of limitations of a set design which they would have had at the time. That's how it would be if they were building this physical set. Simple but effective. And these sorts of things are so additive to the show to develop the canon, develop the what means to be on a ship like this. Great, even if it's something super simple, it adds something. But obviously the most famous one, leave for last, is the actual bridge, which, as we've said, do shift a bit. I mean, especially between Star Trek 3 and 4, because, the set got destroyed. They built a whole new set. And then they sort of use it for all the other times, but different. It's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I was impressed. This is kind of the standard we get for the Bird of Prey for quite a while. With the console looks and stuff. It's interesting that the view screen's not as accurate as I thought it was. It's the right shapes, just not the right, it's, and those two big main support pillars, I mean, those are just kind of a standard thing now on the Bird of Prey, so.
Yeah, having both worked with a Bird of Prey bridge and also designing a larger D7 bridge, it's actually not as similar as you would think. They didn't try and make a one-to-one replica here, because obviously it's a TNG version. It definitely feels bigger. I mean, that wide shot, that's wide for Bird of Prey. I mean, the thing hasn't got that much feel. Obviously, still got the detail of the console, etc. It's obviously mostly the same, but it is enough different to be. They went for his own personal style here. Different Klingon ships, kit bash throughout the movies. So they're all a little bit different. Those pillars were, I believe, taken from the TMP Katinga. Not always there. I think on one Bird of Prey, but most of them are not. But they're here, there, and there's the whatevers. But there's a great reverse view that you'll see in the edit, which shows the consoles. Really accurate, really faithful, well done. And I was quite surprised that we did get the coming down weapons column thing for Wondu, for the gunner, which obviously in the first movie we saw at Star Trek 5, it's the captain, comes down. It's quite an impressive moment. And yet in this, if you look at the bottom shot, it's that right-hand guy. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can piece together through the things. So that guy, has a thing that comes down. He's on firing, I guess. Bit weird, but sure. Nice attention to detail of having it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense for a warrior race to want to manually target their weapons and stuff if they, especially in Star Trek 5 with the captain doing it.
That's more honorable than blowing up manually. But I mean, just look at the detail on that. I mean, that's just so close.
Yeah, periscope down. Love it. I love how it locks into the chair too. It's like, but some of the consoles are spot on. The displays are amazing. They're not muddied. They're not in the background. They're not blurry. They're like, boom, everything's accurate, and I think that's fantastic. So that's what Lower Decks does well.
But at the same time, the walls aren't quite right. The angles aren't quite right. It's all a bit boxier, which makes sense. It's Lower Decks, so it's all, what it is, but it's not trying to be a direct parallel.
And the problem with it, there's so many different references for Klingon Bird of Prey interiors and stuff that you can see that somebody might get confused and remember something, or
and they also have the disadvantage of DS9 being in stand definition, whereas the movies being HD. So if you're going to look for reference, then look to that, for example. And lighting as well. I mean, we don't have the even grittier dark lighting with there's like grills on the ceiling that creates patterned light. That's not here. It's all quite statically bright. But no, really good. Very oddly shot, I think, at the end. It feels quite claustrophobic and full at the same time for the end. But I'm definitely thinking, based on the exterior that we talked about previously, we are going to see this ship again. We are going to see this captain again, the new captain. And so this attention to detail adds in, because it all takes work and thought, and it just looks great. Well done. And as a whole, just the Bird of Prey in general, really a lovely addition to the Bird of Prey canon, because there's a distinct Bird of Prey canon unto itself.
Actually, there's a canon on both wings. Just saying. Anyway, comment down below what you thought about the Bird of Prey interior. Have you checked out our exterior video? If you haven't, go watch that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get notified, and click the bell notification icon to get notified when we do these uploads. But if you haven't seen it, go check out the exterior one and check out all of our content. Like I said, we've got a Trekyards Legend episode about the Bird of Prey. We go in depth on the Bird of Prey, and it's really fun. It's an older video, So you can get a good laugh at us as well, because it was years ago. But anyway, hit that like button and join us for lives and future reviews as well.
And of course, go back and check out our full review of this episode, both the single edited one and the scene by scene. We look at all the stuff in detail and tune for other breakdowns of the exterior of this video and of the breakdown of the exterior and interior of the Vulcan ship, both all new and yet linked to the canon. Really fun stuff. And of course, if you want to support the channel and what we do here, then on Patreon, PayPal, Super Chats, those are really, really fun, or join the channel, and those bonus links in the description, etc., etc. Just lots of great ways, and just keep tuning in, you know?
That's right. So, we're going to go cloak now. See you later. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Connors.
Bye.
Bye, guys.